The 3DO multi-system was a 32-bit CD-based console released in the early to mid-1990s, initially by Panasonic under license from the 3DO company. Going up against the 16-bit machines of the day, it was considerably more powerful and, like all systems at the time, was home to a number of one-on-one beat-em-ups or brawlers, which were quite possibly the most dominant arcade genre of the time. So in today's video, I'm going to look at 4 brawlers from the 3DO and let you know whether they're any good or not. So, without further ado, let's head on in to our first video. So first up, we have Yu Hakusho, which I'm sure I'm pronouncing wrong, which was developed and released by Tomy in 1994 only in Japan. The game is based on the manga and anime of the same name and features 15 total playable characters for you to select through story mode or simple one-on-one multiplayer bouts. The game itself plays quite well. It has a unique system where you have to hold down the buttons to charge up your special moves, and it features quite a bit of FMV, which was taken from the animated series. Indeed, this game is so tightly linked to the anime that the in-game animation was actually produced by the same studio who did the animations for the animated series. Now, this makes for a very smooth looking game, however, it does look a little bit basic and simple compared to some of its competitors, as you'll see later on in this video. As I said, gameplay wise, it's not too bad. It's definitely no Street Fighter 2 or Samurai Showdown in terms of complexity, but it does have its own unique charm as to how it plays. You can button mash on it and do reasonably well, but as you will see, I am absolutely terrible at games like this, and you will see me not do brilliantly. But yeah, you can see some beautifully done animation there, and in its own way it does look nice, but I feel that the characters could do with maybe being a little bit bigger and better defined, because like I said, nice animation, but they are smallish and they do seem to lack some detail. There's not a lot of detail there on the faces, but it's effective, and if you're familiar with the anime, then everything here is going to look exactly how you would expect it to. So yeah, Yu Hakusho, it got fair to middling reviews when it came out. You know, Player 1 gave it 79%, Super Game Power gave it 3.2 out of 5, although Next Generation Machine just gave it 1 star out of 5. However, you know, Game Fan magazine enjoyed it, so your mileage may vary. Next up, we have an entry in the long-running Pretty Soldier Sailor Moon series of games and animes. Again, this is based on the manga and anime of the same name, Pretty Soldier Sailor Moon, and was developed and released by Tosei and Bandai in March of 1995, and much like the previous title we've just seen, Yu Hakusho, this was only ever released in Japan. Now, Western reviews who picked this up as an import title were quite negative towards the game. Whilst they praised some of the presentation, they felt that the game itself was quite stilted and didn't control too smoothly, and really advised it only for collectors of fighting games or fans of the franchise. Now, myself, I actually quite enjoyed it. Again, I'm rubbish at this game, but it felt more like a traditional Capcom stroke SNK one-on-one fighting game. Now, the gameplay does have a story mode, which I have no idea about because it's all in Japanese, but apparently it's based on the 3rd season of the show. So, what else can I say about it? Well, the animation may be a bit stilted, but once you get into the game, it does look good. It looks a lot nicer than Yu Hakusho, for example. You've got some nicely sized sprites which are well drawn. You know, presentation's pretty good. Here we've got Sailor Moon going up against Sailor Pluto, I think, yes. But as you can see, it does look a little bit nicer, but you can see the animation is not the smoothest. But this did seem to be a bit of an issue with a lot of early CD-ROM based consoles when it came to fighting games. They couldn't get the animation frames in there. Bear in mind that when Sega were releasing the Capcom games on the Saturn, they actually gave the system a memory cartridge to help increase the amount of animation that could be loaded into RAM. Because obviously you don't have the advantage you'd have with the cartridge here where you could just stream it off as required. But yeah, looks fairly pretty. Some nice little graphical effects going on there with the transparent fog in the foreground. But yeah, a little bit stilted, and yeah, the animation not the smooth, but it's overall, I'd still say it's a decent game. I think reviews at the time were a bit harsh on it, only giving it 2 out of 5, for example, in Game Fan. But you know, it's not a bad game, and it's worth getting if you own a 3DO and you want another brawler to add to your collection. Now, here we have Shadow Warriors, or Shadow War of Succession. And all I can say for this is, oh dear. From the low quality rendered FMVs to the frankly amateurish looking menu screens, and then the actual in-game graphics, it's pretty clear that this game was attempting to ride the Mortal Kombat wave. Developed by Tribeca Digital Studios and released in the US, I believe, by them, and in Japan by T&E Soft. As you can see, it is a low-rent Mortal Kombat knockoff. There's some nice scaling going on, but generally speaking, again, the animation is hideously stilted. The graphics look rough as anything, and reviewers at the time were quite right with their reviews of the game. Next Generation magazine gave it 1 star out of 5. Instead, you should use the disc as a coaster for your coffee mug. You'll get more use out of it and enjoy it more. In 1997, Electronic Gaming Monthly magazine even rated this as the 3rd worst game of all time. It's terrible. It plays shockingly. The computer controlled characters are ridiculously fast and just, yeah. I mean, look at this. No, this is horrendous. Poor as I am at these games, this is just, no. Thankfully, this game was never sequeled. It sucks. Really, really sucks. I can't emphasize how bad this game is. It's just terrible. Like, painfully so. Ow. I'm done. I'm moving on to the next one. This is bad. So, having traversed that pile of steaming bovine excrement, we come to a game which represents some of the very best that the 3DO had to offer. This is 1994's Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Now, as I keep repeating, I am no great player of one-on-one fighting games, but even I love the Street Fighter 2 series. Good God, these games represent probably the pinnacle of the one-on-one 2D fighting genre, and this is a particularly superb version of the game. Whilst variations on the Street Fighter 2 series have been released for the Sega Mega Drive or Genesis and Super Nintendo and even the PC Engine, even the 16-bit home computers such as the Amiga and the IBM PC, this was by far the most arcade-looking version. Yes, there are a few things missing. Some of the animation frames are missing. There's no parallax scrolling to the backgrounds during the stages. But god damn, does it look good. I mean, look at it. Big sprites, smooth movement, even if it is missing a few animation frames. and it plays exactly like you'd want it to. It's responsive, it's quick. Yes, you can play it on a standard 3-button 3DO pad, which is what I'm doing here, hence the continually hitting the pause as I'm just remembering which button does which. But Capcom themselves released a fighting pad for this with 6 buttons, and there were a couple of other aftermarket ones which came out which also had 6 buttons to give you the full Street Fighter 2 experience. And it's worth it. This is a game to show off how good 3DO was compared to the 16-bit systems of the time. Now, there's not much more I can say about this. It's a Street Fighter 2 game, so at this point, all I'm going to do is say thank you for watching this video today. I've been Rob. If you've enjoyed the video, please hit the like button. If you've really enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button. If you haven't liked it, hit the dislike button. Leave a comment down below to let me know what you think, and I will see you next time with part 2 of 3DO fighting games, where we will see possibly the only 3DO fighting game to rival this one. As I said, I've been Rob, and I'll see you next time.